Welcome to the guest lounge on the Willie J Show on Gospel City 24/7. Be entertained, informed, and edified on Saturday morning's talk radio show, the Willie J Show on Gospel City 24/7. And now, and now, and now, with today's guest, here is the man himself, Mr. Willie J.
Hello, everyone. We are in the guest lounge on the Willie J Show, and today I have here with me Marq Johnson, a musician, gospel artist here in Jamaica. Welcome to the program, Marq.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, it's really my pleasure. It's good to have you. Yeah, so we want to chit chat a bit, talk with you, help the people get to know you better. So, let's start off by asking you, where in Jamaica do you originate from? And tell me a little bit about your childhood days.
No problem, no problem. My first year after being born, I lived in Portmore and then moved to Harborview, where I spent the next 30 something years, about 31 years.
Okay, so,
yeah.
You could almost say you're a Kingstonian because you have been near the city.
Well, kind of unfortunately, yes, because you see, I love the country, and whenever my friends say, boy, them going down to the country for the weekend or them going to spend time with them family in the country, I'm always jealous because I don't have any country to go.
Boy.
Practically all of my family is in Kingston, and the rest are overseas. So I really don't have any relatives in the country as such.
Boy. So you can get to go river and to
yeah, you know what I mean?
Climb tree and all that.
Yeah, I probably forgot adopt a family in the country.
I tell you, yes. So, any interesting event from your childhood days that you think you would want to share?
What a question. So I was a very quiet child. I mean, I'm an only child.
Okay.
And so, I mean, anytime you miss me, I'm always probably in my room reading because I had my own little library, a little bookshelf with my little books.
Okay.
I used to love to read as a child.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to love inventing my own toys as well, create all kind of things on the bed and use roller and buckle and all kind of things. One day I nearly burned down the house. One day I created a little stove right in my bedroom there with when you pull the Venetin sausage can.
Yes.
I use the empty can as a pot, and I put oil in there and put some sausage in there over a candle, and the thing started catch a fire, man. The place full of smoke. I think I got scolded. Did I, or did I get away with it? I can't remember.
I tell you, that reminds me of an incident I had. But as a young man, I was living on my own. And I came home tired and decided to boil an egg. And I said,
fell asleep.
Yeah, let me lay down a little while it boiled. The next thing I knew, I saw a fire blazing out of the pot.
Wow, that's dangerous,
Yes.
Wow.
So I learned never to sleep and cook or cook and lay down,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are someone who seems to be very adventurous. Then you love experiments. You love to try to create things.
Yeah, which is a good and a bad thing.
Yes, man.
Yes.
So, as you grew up, at what stage of your life did you meet with the Lord?
Well, I became so I grew up in a Christian home, and
Yes.
I always, grew up in church, active in Sunday school, Sunday school choir and everything, Christmas plays, and the whole nine yards. I used to be very good at memory verses and that kind of vibe. So I've always been aware that surrendering to the Lord is the right thing to do. But it was when I became a teenager, Dad used to teach myself and my cousin to drive. I mean, by
Okay.
this time I was about 17, 18. It should have been 17, 18,
Yes.
thereabouts. So, Dad used to carry us on the airport road because I used to live in Harborview, as I said. Used to go on the
Mm-hmm.
airport road and used to teach my cousin and I to drive. So one Sunday, it was my cousin's turn, so I was in the back seat. And just out of the blue, a car slammed into the back of our car.
Wow.
And yeah, man, and I thought about it, and it's funny because at that time I felt the call of the Lord on my life. And let me backtrack a little bit. At that
Uh-huh.
time, I had a summer job at Jamaica Packaging, that's on Marcus Garvey Drive.
Yes.
And my supervisor was Mr. Keith Logan. Boy, Sir Logan, if you're listening to this, big up yourself, sir. This man was the very, very first Christian I've ever met at that up to that point
Yes.
that was so excited about Jesus and excited about being a Christian. And I was so impressed. It's like I felt like, no, I need to know the Jesus that you know because
Yes.
the way I knew church life before, that was just kind of mundane, kind of lame,
Yes.
kind of vibe, just.
Yes.
And this guy, he was just always so pumped about salvation. And so every single Friday, when we were parting companies to go home, he would say to me, Mark, make sure you have some good news for me Monday. In other words, make sure you get
Okay.
saved over
Yes.
the weekend.
Yes. Yes.
you know every time he would say that. And so that Sunday morning when that happened, the thought was, can you imagine? I know the Lord has been calling me. I know there's a call of the Lord on my life. And there I was. In a split second, I could have transitioned into eternity without surrendering my life to
Yes.
Christ.
Yes.
That was Sunday morning. And then by the Wednesday night, Wednesday night, probably, probably at about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, thereabout, I went to bed. And I decided, this was July 15, 1998. I decided, you know what? I'm going to just take this step of faith and surrender my life to the Lord. And that is when it happened. Right there in my bedroom. There was no sermon, there was no music, no preaching, nothing. I just
Uh-huh.
made
Just you
that
and the
decision
Lord.
right there.
Yes.
Just me and the King. Yeah. And that was it.
Yes. Wow. Um, the Lord used different means to speak to different people.
Indeed.
Yes, yes, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Mhm.
So, what happened in your life as a believer after that?
Well, it has been a very interesting journey. Because I was a young man, of course. I was, at
Yes.
that time, I would have been 19, struggling with low self-esteem at that time of my life, struggling with anger issues, broken relationships and so on, and pretty much just kind of struggling through as I discovered more and more, of the realities of life and the hills and the valleys and the hills of life, the
Yes.
hills of life and the valleys of life. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
And so, the thing about me is that I'm always trying to pursue God. I'm always trying to, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I was
No.
always the type of person who would try to attend conferences to learn more about God,
Yes.
listen to sermons wherever I can find them, whenever there's camp, I try to be there, try to get involved in stuff, in ministry and so on. And pretty much, that has attributed to my growth, even though I struggled in my own private life, struggled, you know, to struggled with flesh, obviously,
Yes.
in different forms, with low
Mhm.
self-esteem and so on and other things. But as time progressed, learning more of the Lord, I grew in areas of my life, and it was just really tremendous to be discovering God along the journey. And
Yes.
I always felt like there is more. Always felt like there is more, and always pushing for more. Even when I'm struggling, even when, as Jamaicans we would say we're butter butter.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was never the type to give up and throw in the towel. I'm not a quitter. Always fighting. So the journey has been very interesting up to date, and just really excited about continuing to grow in the Lord.
Yes, yes. We're not going to go into that aspect, but as you spoke, I remember that I heard you do an interview with a
Mhm.
gentleman called Teddy Jones, Reverend Teddy Jones.
Right. Yes. 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 Good friend
Yes,
of mine.
yes, yes. I actually do his program on the station, so
Mhm.
broadcast his program on the station. It just occurred to me.
Awesome.
Yes. So,
Awesome.
yeah, man. So tell me now, you got saved, you got into ministry. Where did the
Mhm.
music aspect of it come in?
Well, it's funny, because music started very early in my life. My journey started at age 7
Okay.
when I started formal training in classical piano. And my mom told me, either my mom or my dad told me that when I just started it, I actually hated it. I can't imagine
Okay.
if I hated music. But soon, shortly after starting, I became a lover of the piano, and I excelled in it. When I did some exams with the Associated Board of the Royal School of Music, so
Yes.
I went all the way up to grade 5.
Uh-huh.
You know, um, you know, copped a number of distinctions, to the point where it's like every time I go into exam, everybody know that I'm coming back with a distinction. It's like a distinction baby in the
Yeah,
class.
yes,
You know,
yes.
so it was a clear indication of my passion, though. I'm not saying that I'm a distinction baby to show off, but it's just to
No.
point out that from very early in my life,
Yes.
there was a passion
For
that started
music.
to develop.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for music, and even not just music, but writing, because
Okay, yes.
sometimes when my teacher not looking and I'm practicing, I would change up the classical pieces in reggae, and should stay from round the back and say, Mark, practice the thing properly. So it's
Yes.
from long time, looking back over my life now, I realize that is where it really started, that
Yes,
that desire
indeed,
to
indeed.
create.
Yes.
And yeah, man. And so, I was involved in the Sunday school choir at my church. Eventually, I became the technical director for the Sunday school choir. I started playing for church as well. I became the designated pianist at church. After a while, I became the technical director for the youth choir, and then technical director for the corporate era choir, which is all the churches in the corporate era within my denomination came together to form a big choir, that sang at convention and so on.
Yes.
And then in my early 20s, I think at age 21, I became the director of the national chorale within our denomination. So for, I could see where my craft, my ministry, my passion, was growing,
Growing. Yes, yes.
from strength to strength. And yeah, and so, I mean, throughout church life, whenever I go to convention and these national events, I would book up other musicians, would
Okay.
link up and
Yes.
share. I would just develop a bond and a friendship. And then, so we used to play with the choirs, quite often, and then after a while we start realizing that we all share that passion to play music across the world and to minister and to evangelize using music. So we
Yes.
decided, hey, let us form a band and let's do this. And so it was in 2011,
Uh-huh.
we decided that come 2012 January, we need to start. It's either we do this thing or just stop chat about it, straight. It's
Yes,
either we
yes.
do this thing or we just lock shop and call it a day. And so we formed a band. We started rehearsing together. We started writing songs together. Started singing, ministering together at convention and other events. Even at a Valentine's event, I got invited, and we went and sang. And then it was in 2015 that we decided at the pace that I wanted to reach, because I felt a deep burden inside of me, like the call of God on my life, lifted to a new level and a new
Yes.
standard. And the Lord really wanted me to take it to the next level. But at that time, we all agreed as friends that it's best I go solo as a solo artist. We still maintained our friendship,
Yes.
up to today. We're still friends, all of us. But we just decided that it is best that we parted company. So in 2015, I started my ministry as a solo artist, and that was just really awesome.
Yes. And one regret I have is that I didn't get into classical piano. I
Oh, yeah?
play the keyboard, but I mainly
Yeah.
play by ear. But
Oh,
I have one good friend that did classical music, and I'm sure you know the name, Sidney Thorpe. And when I look at him play,
yes.
yes, he's with Fabulous Five. Yes, when you
Hmm.
look at him play, you could just sit down and listen to him for hours.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
yes. So, and I see then that from the beginning you were sort of, I don't want to say transpose, but you were creating classical reggae because you were playing the, the classical music in reggae.
Yeah, yes.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, but the passion was there from early.
yes, yes, yes. So, what are the songs you have put out so far? We have music from you that we play, but what are the songs you have put out so far?
So in 2015, my debut single was Pulse Get Weak. That's a song that's talking about, my need for God, and, without him I would die. And then in 2016, I released Narcelote, no, Narcelote,
Hmm.
Rise of a Resolute, and God You're Good. I
Yes.
didn't release any in 2017, but in 2018 I released Imago Day and the New Jerusalem. In 2019 I released my very first love song dedicated to my wife.
Yes.
And I believe that it's as an artist, as a creative, as a Christian, I believe it's very important to send a message that I am not afraid as a Christian husband to
Yes.
declare my love for my one wife,
Yes. Yes.
and that's why I did that song for her birthday. She loved the song. She loved the.
Yes.
She said it was our best birthday gift up to that point.
Wow.
So it was quite fulfilling for me.
And is
And then
one
in
that
20,
sorry, is one that she will
yeah,
always have.
yes, indeed, 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 indeed. And then in 2020, I released One Day. And day
Okay.
here is the Latin for God. So the song is saying it's just one God we're living for. You
Okay.
know?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, man. Right.
Yes.
This year I released in Black History Month I released Black Beauty, which was a tribute to all our black sisters across the world. Just to celebrate them, just to highlight their strength, their value, their beauty. Because and this song has nothing to do with racism. I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying that black women are better than any other from the other women
No.
from other races, but I just wanted to pause just to celebrate my black sisters across the world. And
Yes.
that was a nice campaign. We ran it for the entire month, and we had over 100. We every single day we posted a new video with about over a dozen black sisters, say, posing and some videos and pictures, and a
Okay.
nice thing. And yeah, it was a very interesting campaign, man, and it really inspired. Let me tell you something, Rev. It is so interesting that I found in my life that when I'm just obedient to God and when I just do what He says to do and I'm just locked onto it,
Yes.
it's the persons are so blessed. Because for me, I was just bigging up my black sisters, but
Yes.
there are so many women who messaged us and messaged us and told us how inspiring it was. Thank you for celebrating them. It ministered to them. It reminded them of their value, that they're the image of God,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it was just so amazing, Rev. And
Yes.
I'm just so blessed to have the opportunity to do that. And then now we are wrapping up the album, the debut album. So later on this year, we'll be releasing that album. But come next month, June, we'll be releasing two brand new singles as a precursor to the
The
album
album.
launch. So
Well, you
yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
we stand ready to play them for you as soon as they're
Thank you
off
so
the
much.
shelf. Yes. But stepping back a wee bit before we come back to the album, you spoke about, celebrating the black sisters. I think
Right.
something like that is very important because there are many of us who, quote and unquote, are ashamed to be black. You know,
Yes.
we wish it was
Unfortunately.
otherwise, and
Yes.
we need to realize that God made us that way, and He loves us, and we are not less than
Of
anybody
course.
else. You know, and
Of
so
course.
yes, we need things like this. You know,
Mhm.
it's just
Mhm.
like when you spoke about it. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of gospel artists who does these things. But I remember Eddie
Mhm.
Fitzroy who did the song about Black Princess, something,
Yes.
yes, to that effect. And
Right.
then I think
Right.
what's his name now? Taros Riley. Yes, he has one
Yeah.
that is,
She's
yes,
royal.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yes.
But we need, to really accept ourselves, you know, um, as
Mhm.
God made us and be proud of ourselves. Many young ladies feel like they are less to be black, so that's why many
That's
persons
true.
go about bleaching, as we call it.
Bleaching. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Yeah, man.
I think that is a wonderful thing you did. As you
Thank
said,
you so much, Rev.
yeah, man, it's good to follow the Lord. Whatever He puts
Mhm.
on your
Mhm.
heart, you do it.
Indeed.
Yes, but tell me about the upcoming album, though. What will it be like? What sort of music are you planning to put out?
Well, so I'm discovering something about myself as an artist. I'm realizing that how should I put this now? So some of the songs will be what we, in the Christian community we call worship music. The
Yes.
soft. I call them the softer side of me, right?
Okay.
There's so be some of that because the thing is, I mean, and rightly so. The world knows me so far. The world knows me as a reggae or a dancehall Christian
Yes.
artist, right?
Yes.
Because
Can you
that's
imagine
the genre that I've
the
released.
classical pianist being the dancehall art?
Right.
Yes.
So it's probably about 2 years ago the Lord said to me that, Mark, it is time for you to start recording and releasing the softer songs that
Yes.
I've given to you, because he has given me some.
Yes.
And so the album will be featuring some of those. I believe that one of them, we may be releasing one of them next month. So in addition to that, I will certainly have some reggae songs, and I'll have some hardcore dancehall songs,
Yes.
and of course, the message of the kingdom is what I'm about.
Yes.
The message of the kingdom, as I understand the scriptures, God has given us His word, the Logos, the Bible, to
Yes.
show. It's really the manual of how to live according to the governance, the culture, and the principles of the kingdom of God. And so some of the songs will involve social commentary. I mean, for example, Black Beauty was one such song where
Yes.
we're not telling you how to get to heaven and Jesus Christ Shekinah glory and Holy Ghost filled and speaking in tongues. We're
Hmm.
just pretty much bigging up our black sisters,
Yes.
right? There are some songs that are going to be like that, and there are other songs that will be straight out, focused on life with Jesus Christ and why I live, and so on.
Yes. Hmm.
So, I think it's very important, you see, Pastor. One of the things I believe where we have fallen short as the Christian community is that we have made ourselves irrelevant in society simply because our conversation is always about one thing. It's
Yes.
always about heaven and heaven alone.
Hmm.
When Jesus Christ walked earth, he spoke more about life, in the context of our identity as his image and likeness, and how do we live before God, and how do we live among each other as brethren. And we tend to forget the horizontal relationship, which is one with another, and focus more on the vertical. Now we have to understand that the man who does not have a relationship with God will not be able to understand it if you bring it directly like that. But if
Yes.
you demonstrate your relationship with God through your horizontal relationship with Him,
Yes.
then He will be able to connect and relate to you and your God. And
Yes.
that is where we're falling short. And I believe as an artist, I will use my music to connect with those persons who the only time them go church is funeral and wedding. That's
Yes,
it.
our
And baby
Easter.
christening.
Yes.
Yeah, or New Year's Eve night,
Yes,
watch
yes.
night when them are ringing the New Year. But apart from that, and you know what I've been finding, Pastor, is that many persons really don't have a problem with Jesus. It's we them have a problem with, because
Well,
we
yes, yes, so
Christian
true.
folk have portrayed a wrong image, a
Yes.
bad image, a nasty image of
Hmm.
Jesus Christ. And but at the same time, our mouth is saying something else, but our actions are completely the
Yes,
opposite.
yes.
And so, you know, you can't blame them.
Yes,
I don't
it's
want to serve the God you serve if that's how you live.
it's really true. A lot of persons don't really show a relationship with Christ now. They only tell about going to heaven, but they are
Right,
not saved.
right.
I remember Evie Thornquest Carson. I don't know, she's back from the 70s, 80s, coming into the 90s. She had a song that says that if there was no heaven, she would still serve the Lord. And I am
Right.
thing there now. I am just um, I can't even remember the word. Paraphrasing, yes, paraphrasing.
Mhm.
She would still serve God for what He is to her in this life.
Indeed.
That's the essence of what the song is about. Yes.
Right,
So,
right.
um, Jesus spoke about a relationship, Christianity, if I might put it that way, and that's what I hear
Mhm.
you saying.
Right, definitely, definitely. Jesus Christ did not finish the work on the cross so that we can go to heaven. That's not it. He finished the work on the cross so that we can be redeemed and be restored to the Father and
Yes.
be one with Himself and the Father, to demonstrate and manifest the kingdom of God, the governance, the culture, and the principles of God's kingdom here on earth while we are still
Here.
alive.
Yes.
At work, at play, with our neighbors, everywhere we go, in business, whatever we do, we should be demonstrating the kingdom of God. And so even when I'm in the studio, the way I relate with my producers, the way I relate with musicians, the way I relate with anybody at all, I make it my point of duty to reflect Jesus Christ, not because I want to be patted on the back, or no, I just want to reflect Jesus Christ. I am His image and likeness. When people
Yes.
encounter me, they should be encountering the character and the nature of Jesus Christ, even by a little tops.
Yes.
Even by a little tops.
And that's the best form of evangelism.
That's true.
Yes,
That's indeed.
best form of evangelism. When a man see you live something, he knows that you're really serious about it.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yes,
Indeed.
yes. So, um, well, maybe it's premature for this album, but um, in your music, what are any interesting situation, something that we would laugh about, that some incident in preparing music that you would want to share? Anything funny happened? Any funny experience
Funny experience. Funny
or
experience.
adventurous experience?
Um, I'm trying to jog my memory a little bit. I'm gonna say interesting, funny. Well,
Adventurous.
mo- I probably say more teaching moments. So during recording,
Hmm.
I remember there's one in particular. So as I mentioned earlier, I struggled with low self-esteem practically all my life. It was when I was almost 39 that I got delivered from low self-esteem, and it was
Yes.
round about that time the Lord revealed the concept of Imago Dei to me. Imago Dei is the
Okay.
Latin for
Yes.
image of God, and it was at that time of my life when I recognized that I am His image and likeness. I discovered that if that is true, then it means there's a greatness inside of me. There is a unique greatness inside of me. Therefore, I need not compare myself with anybody. I need not compete with anybody, because I have value. I have purpose. And so, life just really changed for me. And it was such a big deal for me that it became my brand as an artist, Imago Day. I have a logo for it. I have a t-shirt line for it. And now I have a product
Okay.
line, an entire virtual store, which will be launching very soon with all kinds of products from apparel to sheets, to
Yes.
bags, to accessories, all kinds of stuff,
Okay.
right? Because of that. So I remember in last year when I was in studio recording the single One Day, I remember, I just not, I just wasn't getting it right. I just wasn't getting it right in studio, and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of paused and I was staring at the wall, and in hindsight now I realized it was the enemy was saying to me that, Mark, probably you're not cut out to be an artist, probably not cut out to be an artist, man. Why you pressuring yourself so much? Just
Uh-huh.
like how you already start record a song, yeah, you can finish it, but then let's go look at 9 to 5 work, man. No bother with
Okay.
the artist thing, man. And I started actually thinking about it. I started thinking,
Yes.
all right, where am I going to send resumes to? Where am I? And I started processing it. So my producer looked across the room and saw me, and him said, Mark. And I snapped out of it, and him say, you check out, man. You check out, bro. No, man, don't check out, man. Don't check out. We have you, bro. We have you. We're going to get this right.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself that imagine that even after being delivered from low self-esteem,
Yes.
here comes the
The
enemy
enemy.
again
Yes.
to try to convince me that I am less than what I am, to convince me that I am otherwise, and that's an unforgettable experience for me. And what I would say to persons is that when you're delivered from something, you still have to be on your guards. You
Yes.
still have
Yes.
to pay attention and be vigilant, because the enemy will always try to get you back in bondage.
Yes. He will always seek to pounce on us at our weakest moment.
Yes, man.
Remember, it
Yes, man.
was after Jesus had fasted for 40 days and was very hungry that he chose
Yes.
to tempt him.
Hmm.
So he always looks for our weakest moment and try,
Indeed.
to attack
Indeed.
us then. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes. So, you say you're working on the album, and
Hmm.
how has COVID-19 impacted you? Because I know the talk all around is that it has been sort of like a blow for the um, music world,
Hmm.
for artists, what with
Hmm.
us not being able to have concerts and events as we
Hmm.
were accustomed. How did you deal with it, or are
Well,
dealing with it?
well, it has been a very interesting time for me and my wife, because the beautiful thing about COVID is that
Hmm.
it allowed my wife and I to spend significantly more time, not only together,
Uh-huh.
but together with God.
Yes.
I mean, we both live very hectic lives. I mean, extremely busy. My wife is an educator, and she teaches an exam grade. And
Okay.
so,
Hmm.
right. And so she's also a senior teacher and a grade coordinator. So
Okay.
the
Yes.
administrative work on top of exam preparations, marking papers, and she's a hard worker. So she always goes above and beyond, just because she loves children. She has a passion to see them excel, and so she goes above and beyond to accomplish that. So she lives a busy life. I live a busy life. And so even throughout our marriage, because this year we celebrated 15 years, we
Okay.
have always,
Congratulations. Yes.
yeah, man, thanks, man, thanks. We have always struggled with being consistent with having devotions together, because we have always been so busy. I will have my devotion, she'll have her devotion, but not together. But for 2020, when everything locked down and we are spending like 24 hours together,
Yes.
man, it was a blessing, man. It was a blessing. We both grew tremendously in the Lord, as individuals as well as a couple. We had devotion together every day. We have communion together at home. We go through Bible plans together. We have been discovering so much more about God, the Holy Spirit, the work of the Holy Spirit in our lives, the role of the Holy Spirit, the authority of the believer, the fullness of our identity as children of God and as his image and likeness. There is just so much growth that has taken place over the COVID period.
Yes.
Financially, I
Uh-huh.
mean, events, of course, have gone down. And it's not like I'm one of those big stars who still get the big calls and the big
Yes.
gigs, So financially, that went down. However, God has made a way for. I'm going to give you a joke.
Yes.
Well, it's not really a joke, but let me share something. It was last year. Last year, probably in about the middle of the year, I was having a conversation with God as I said, God, I don't understand. You told me to pursue the music. You told me to focus on it and build it out, and I have been doing that. And me not understand, me not see the money, and as a man, I am the head of the house. You have appointed me as head of the house. You have appointed me as provider and protector, and I am struggling to provide for my household. And I said, there's no way that can give you glory. There is absolutely no way under high heaven that me struggling to provide for my household
Yes.
can give glory and honor to you. And I said, talk to me, Lord. Have I been living in disobedience? Did I miss your voice? Did I, And him said, no, Mark, I told you to pursue the music and you have been obedient and you have been faithful with that. However, I did not tell you to ignore the other skill sets that you have. So
Yes.
I'm a qualified, professionally trained property valuer.
Okay.
That's what I have my degree in. Yeah, I have a
Yes.
BSc in property valuations. So I've been a property valuer from 2020, from 2001. So 20 years now I've been a property valuer, and I'm a project manager as well. One of my spiritual gifting is administration. So I've always been managing projects from even my teenage years.
Yes.
And so the Lord said to me, I told you to focus on the music, yes, but I did not tell you to ignore your property valuation and your project management skills. Now go and be a good steward of them.
Yes.
So I said, all right, daddy, no problem. And out of that conversation with God, I started a business where we now offer property valuations. It's like a one-stop shop for property services. We offer property
Okay. Yes.
valuations, land surveying, architectural drawings, building estimates. Even if it is that you're buying or selling your property, you need an attorney to handle that, the conveyancing, we will
Yes.
take care of that for you. And now we're getting into construction. So out of that conversation, out of that COVID time, has been born a new
New.
business that
Yes.
we started researching it late last year and started testing it, and now we're almost at the end of our proof of concept period, and we're about to get going fully,
Oh,
so
excellent. Yes.
yeah, man, God has been really good.
Okay. Wonderful. So I've heard so many stories that has convinced me that the period of the pandemic is not a period for us to fall back, but for us to really rise to the challenge and be
Certainly.
innovative and find,
Yes.
yes, find new means of doing things.
Mhm,
Yes,
mhm, mhm,
yes,
mhm. And it's funny you said that because I'm also, I mean, with my skill set, I was able to help a friend because I offer business consultancy as well.
okay,
And so one of a friend of my wife and I, a mutual friend that we have, she had an online business, and I was able to help her move her sales up to, she was making probably somewhere in the region of like 100,000 a month.
hmm,
And so we had some consultations together, advise her, put some systems in place for her, and within a month or two, her sales increased to
wow,
$500,000. And
yes,
when I spoke with her just probably about 3 weeks ago, her sales has surpassed $1 million per month.
wow,
So
yes,
yeah, man.
yes, wonderful, wonderful.
So
So,
God is good.
yeah, man, as we look to bring down the lid, tell me, what would you say? You may have said it already, but put it into context now. If you met a young person who is thinking about going into the music industry, being a gospel
Mhm.
artist, what would you say to them?
The first thing I'd say to them is make sure that you're called. That's the first thing.
Okay, yes.
Have that conversation with God, pray about it, and be very clear. crystal clear that God has called you to this. I this is how I've lived my life, Pastor. I don't do things just because I can do it. I try my very best to always make sure that I get the approval of my Heavenly Father and my King, because that's
Yes.
very important. Why it's important? Because when the road gets rough, if the reason why you're doing it is not bigger than you, you go a jump ship. And that's the
Yes.
same approach I take with
Yes.
with the marriage, with business, with ministry, with finances, with everything. If the reason you're doing it is not bigger than you, if it's not ordained and sanctioned by God, then when the tough times come, you will not be able to ride it out. Yeah.
Yes.
Because remember, no, ministry is warfare. It's not a this is
Well,
not
very
this is not a
true.
career. It's
Yes.
not a
Yes.
career. This is not a profession. This is a
Yes.
warfare. And so if God has not approved it, and if God has not blessed it, if God has not provided for it, then you're really going to be doing it on your own strength. And you can't do this on your own strength. So that's the first thing.
Yes.
The second thing I would advise is just get started. Get started. Get started right where you are. Start writing if it is that you're a writer or a musician or a singer. Start right where you are. Minister at your church. Offer of yourself. Sow, because whatever you sow, you will reap. So
Reap.
sow. Give of yourself. Give of yourself. I have done over the August coming will make 6 years that I've started my journey as a solo artist, and I've done close to 500 events since I started in 2015. And I'm going to
Yes.
tell you this, Rev, 90 odd percent of those events were free.
Okay. Yes.
90% of them were free, and they were free because I know that the Lord had instructed me. It is a time of sowing. It's a
Yes.
time of
Yes.
sowing. And recently the Lord told me that your time of sowing in that way has ended. Feel free now to charge what you believe, according to His guidance and so on. You
Yes.
can charge now,
Yes.
because your time of sowing has that season of sowing has come to an end. I am well pleased with you. You have my blessing. Now it is
Yes.
time. You can feel free to charge. And He said to me, don't feel any way to charge. God said that to me. And it's
Yes.
and
Yes.
I- and the reason why He had to say it to me is because He knows how important it is for Him to say this to me, because I am very uncomfortable to talk about money when it comes to ministry. It's something I hate
Yes.
to do,
Yes. Yes.
honestly.
Uh-huh.
Something I hate to do. And so because of that, I ensure that I get help to get a booking agent, because once
Okay.
if you call me and say, Mark, I want to come to the event and blah blah blah, I don't want to talk about the money part. So I
Yes.
make my agent talk about the money part, because I personally hate talking about the money part. It's very awkward and uncomfortable for me.
Yes. Yes.
But that's the other thing. So first of all, make sure that God give you the go ahead. Two, start right where you are and start sowing, giving of yourself. Sing at every opportunity you can get, every opportunity. And thirdly, form form alliances with build meaningful relationships. Let me say it that way.
Yes. Yes.
Build meaningful relationships, with producers, with musicians, with fellow artists, people who can support what you're doing, who can pour into what you're doing, who can benefit from what you're doing. Connect with pastors, connect with your pastor, let your pastor know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Before COVID, I used to meet with my pastor at least once every 6 months, just to update him on what is happening in my
Yes. Yes.
life,
Uh-huh.
marriage, with music, with ministry, with everything, and he would give me his advice and pray for me and so on. That's very important. Covering is the
Yes.
fourth point
Yes.
I'd want to make.
Yes.
Make
Uh-huh.
sure that you operate under authority. Don't be a loose cannon, just go off on your own and say whatever, whatever. No. So let me just recap quickly. One, make sure God approve it. Two, give of yourself and minister whenever you can. Three, build meaningful relationships. And four, ensure that you operate under the authority of your earthly shepherd.
Oh, wonderful. So wonderful. It's like a little course you just did. Yes, you just start a course, entering into music ministry.
101.
Yes, man. Well, I thank you so much for sharing with
Hmm.
us today, Mark. It has been
No problem.
wonderful. It has been great. And
Thanks for having me, man.
yes, man, and we'll be keeping in touch. So,
Definitely. There are two things I want to say before I go. I
yes,
recently launched my new live online talk show. It's called Cross Talk, right? And we're exploring those topics and issues of life that oftentimes we see them as taboo or too sensitive and so on, but
okay.
yet still they're very
Very
important. Yeah.
interesting,
So
yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
man. So we launched last week Sunday with the very first episode. Last night we had our second episode live on YouTube. And
Hmm.
so the entire season one, we're talking about pornography, the effects of it, how damaging it is, and helping persons to get over it. Because there are persons who think it's all right. There are persons,
Yes,
even in church, that think it is okay to watch porn, even as married couples. There are many persons who feel that it's okay. And
yes,
we are dispelling the myths and we're showing, unveiling the damaging effects of it. I personally know somebody whose marriage was destroyed because of it. I know persons who have struggled with it. I used to struggle with it for a very long time, and the Lord released me from it. So I feel this sense of responsibility now that I am free to
yes,
help
to help
persons
others.
to overcome. Yeah, man, because we go through things not just for ourselves, we go through things so that we can be a testimony for others and to bring hope. So persons can follow us on Instagram. Once you follow us on Instagram, you'll know every beat. Every time we make a beat, you'll know. So we're on Instagram at Imago Day TV. That's IMAGO DEI TV, Imago Day TV, right? We're also on Facebook and YouTube at Mark Johnson TV, MarQJohnson TV,
TV, yes.
right? Yeah, man. And once you hit us up on Instagram, you're good to go. You'll know everything that's happening with the album, with the talk show, the
Okay,
music,
yes,
everything.
yes. All right,
Hmm.
wonderful. Well, I'm sure persons will want to make connections with you, and of course, that um, talk program sounds very
Right.
I don't know if exciting is the word, but it
Well, it has
sounds
been excited.
but it
It has
really
been.
sounds very, very,
Yes,
um,
yes.
very like something that is very helpful.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Yes, indeed.
yes. So thank you very much. Stay online a
Thank you
minute.
so much for
Yeah,
having me.
man. Thank you.
24/7 day and night. 24/7 sleeping or awake. Gospel City 24/7.